I had no business getting tricked. Told me that he had deposited money in my savings account and to go get it and deposit it into a Bitcoin machine, $38,720. And I'm not even sure a crime was committed because I was the guy that went and got the money out.
Welcome to the first ever episode of True Fraud, Real Stories, Expert Advice. And I have an expert with me today. This is Alex, and we're going to listen to a story of a person who was defrauded. And then we're going to talk about the red flags, all the things that maybe he could have seen or that he could have done different, or that people that are watching can take as tips and tricks on how to avoid fraud. So we are doing this as a credit union because we see a lot of fraud. We stop fraud every day in our branches, and you get to deal with a lot of the fraud that happens day to day. You want to tell us about your job a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I am the fraud mitigation specialist. This was a new position that they created last year that I started because fraud isn't really too much of an issue, but in the last few years, it's really started ticking up. They said they might have seen 5 fraud cases a month. Now we see 5 sometimes a day.
Pretty much every day. Yeah.
If not at least 5 a week. So it's pretty much it's a full-time job.
Yeah. And lots of different types of fraud, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm sure you're seeing identity theft kind of things,
theft.
Account takeovers.
Yep. Our biggest ones are check fraud, account takeover, impersonation scams, which are a lot of those. You'll see it's like they start to kind of cross lanes and stuff. So it's very all-encompassing.
Yeah. And it's always interesting for me to hear some of the stories about how people get caught up in these. Today, we're going to hear one from a guy named George. This is an alias, by the way. We changed George's name so that to protect his identity. But George got caught up in this kind of crazy, like snowballs. You'll hear this story. But I really enjoyed talking with George because he's a smart guy. He's had a good career. He's retired, and somehow got caught up in this scam. And so you dealing with this every day, I'm really interested to hear what your take is on George's story. So,
definitely.
We have this red flag system. We've got red flags sitting in front of us. So basically, when you hear something that's a red flag where you're like, "Oh, George, stop," you can raise the flag, and we'll talk about those at the end of the episode.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
You ready to hear? To hear from George?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right. Here we go. So we might pull that a little closer to you.
Okay.
Just to,
all right.
to make sure it's picking you up good.
Well, yeah, we don't want to have it mumbled.
Yeah. How long have you been banking with Pacific Crest?
Since the merger with Klamath Public Employees.
Okay. And so how long were you a member at Klamath Public?
35 years, 34 years.
So did you have a job working for the county or
federal
something?
Government.
The federal. Okay.
I was a wildlife biologist by training.
What are you doing today?
Retired. I'm not doing anything I want to do. I highly recommend it.
So you seem like a pretty smart guy. You've had a good career.
That's what was very disappointing in myself. I had no business getting tricked, but my wife had been gone for 2 weeks. I was bored, was deleting all my spurious emails, and I get fraudulent emails daily. People want me to provide data, provide my information, banking, and daily. I get more than one every day. So I've been pretty good at identifying them, and ignoring them. The mistake I made first was a PayPal bill, and I was getting ready to delete it, and then I noticed they had a phone number there to call. You don't ever call a number that's provided in an email. Stupid. I was about ready to close it down and delete it, but then I noticed that damn number, and I called it. And I should have called PayPal first to see if that was a correct number, and I didn't. But I called it, and I got this charming fellow on the phone that said he was going to track down the people that put out that email, fake email, and he ran around and gave me a song and dance about, well, he referred it to found it there in Berkeley, sent the cops. They got two of them got away. I mean, the cops don't work that fast, because he said he sent cops out right away. I'm going, they don't work that fast, and did I think that was something to raise a red flag with? No. I just kept it to myself and let him keep talking, just the whole song and dance. And then after all of that, he referred me to somebody he called a member of the Department of the guys that trace down and work on fraudulent claims. He talked about viruses and how all the bad people are out there, and he wanted to scan my computer for viruses. And I foolishly let him, even though I have Norton on my computer. Yeah, it sounded reasonable. I was stupid. I even asked him, you haven't provided me proof of who you are and who you work for. And he just blew right past that question. And that's what I should have just said, no proof, goodbye. But I didn't. I don't know why. He said that they were investigating Pacific Crest for somebody who's giving out login information to cyber crooks. And he wanted to track them down and catch them. So he wanted me to, he said he was going to put money in my savings account to do that with. And he blocked my screen, blocked the screen on my computer, so I couldn't see what was going on. And he then told me that he had deposited money in my savings account and to go get it and deposit it into a Bitcoin machine with an OR code that he sent me. I did it. I went down and got money out of my branch, stuffed it into a Bitcoin machine, and then it was gone.
Were you on the phone with him this whole time?
Oh, yeah. He's on my cell phone, talking in my ear all the time, coaching me, telling me what to tell the tellers, so they wouldn't think I was being scammed. I've known these tellers for 30 plus years. So they were more than willing to believe me what I said. I told her I was buying a car, and she believed me. $38,720.
So all that money, you took it out in cash?
Yeah. I went to a Bitcoin machine and stuffed it in the Bitcoin machine.
And he gave you a number?
An OR code to deposit it into that he had control of and could take the money out as fast as it went in. Where it went after that, God only knows. Once you do that, it's history. You're never getting it back. It's gone. And I'm not even sure a crime was committed because I was the guy that went and got the money out.
So where'd the money come from?
My wife's savings account. That's what he was doing on the computer. He had a technician, quote unquote, looking at my computer to find viruses. Well,
so he was just transferring all that money
to my savings account, and I was taking it out and putting it into a Bitcoin machine. No, I didn't know it was from my accounts. I thought it was money that he deposited.
What did your wife say about all this?
Oh, she was very unhappy. Very unhappy. She was so unhappy that she removed me from access to her money, which was smart.
Did you file a police report?
Yes, I talked to the sheriff, yeah. I mean, what can they do? They can't do anything. 11 months later, I get an email from the same people. I know it's the same people because they wanted to give me back the exact amount that I put into the Bitcoin machine. This guy wanted me to go to the bank, get money, put it into the Bitcoin machine, a different Bitcoin machine. He said this machine that I was supposed to put money in would give me back the money. Bitcoin machines don't work that way. They take it. They don't ever give it back. He figured if I was stupid enough to do it once, I didn't do it, and blocked his number, and that's where the story kind of ends.
Boy, glad he didn't talk to him again, but
Yeah, unfortunately, that's like the second phase of the scam. We
Yeah.
had another person who was at another FI, lost like $9,000, and months later they called her back and was like, "We recovered it.
yeah.
Now we just
yeah,
need a little bit more to get the money back to you." And
Yeah.
so you hope that it's real,
right,
and so that's what it sounded like it was.
right. Yeah, so $38,720 is what he said. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen that too, where they move it from you. They tell you that, oh no, we over deposit into your account. Well, what they're really doing is they look at all your accounts that you have, and they're pulling money from other people's accounts. They're moving from. I've seen cash advances on your credit card, and then
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute, where'd $10,000
Yeah.
go?
yeah. So when that extra money shows up in your account for some reason, and it shouldn't be that, like, there's no legitimate reason for it to be there. It's either stolen from you or stolen
Yeah.
from somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, very rarely is. I mean, it's never what they say it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like he's correct. Like the recovery of funds is almost non-existent. I've heard that if it's a higher enough dollar amount, the federal government will get involved and they can asset trace. But even then, it's very difficult. Recovering anything is almost
Yeah.
impossible because there's just nothing to recover because it's gone as soon as you put it in there.
yeah.
They probably told him it was a federal lockbox.
hmm
That's what I've heard scammers call these Bitcoin machines.
Okay.
They're like, oh, we'll put the money in here. We'll save it. We're investigating your bank, which, I mean, that's just not how any of it works.
So Bitcoin machines are kind of a newer thing.
Mhm.
Are they? So where are they? What are they?
they're 5 Bitcoin machines in Klamath Falls. And so basically looks like an ATM, and it has
Mhm.
Bitcoin on the outside of it, or Coinbase or whatever platform it owns it. And then basically you scan a QR code, and that is the wallet that it's going into, and you put your money in.
You put your cash
Just
in.
put your cash
Yeah.
in, and
just
then
like
it's
an
gone.
ATM.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And they're saying, and some people don't understand, because basically that's no different than you walking into the bank and saying, here's John Smith's account number. I want to put 40,000 into John Smith's account.
Yeah.
Well, that's not your money anymore. That's now John Smith's money.
Right.
You've put it in there, and people just don't understand that it's the same thing
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. So George even said, he said, I'm not even sure a crime was committed because I did it.
Yeah, and it's very hard, yeah, because he authorized it. He took the money out. He transferred it. Unfortunately, this is like the story that happens a lot with
Yeah.
these scams, and that's why they work. And he really shouldn't feel down on himself because these are professionals that do it. Like he
Mhm.
said, he knew the red flags like as they were happening, but they were still able to talk him into doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. He said it over and over. That, it sounded reasonable.
Mhm.
And I think we might have even cut out a little bit of audio where he said, the people were so pleasant. They were nice, and it felt like they had my best interest at
Yeah.
heart.
And like
Yeah.
he said, he's like, the police don't work that well, or they don't work that fast. And they don't. Like you calling PayPal, they're not going to suddenly have a direct line to the police department.
Yeah.
Who's going to have a line to the FTC and this? I've heard the CIA.
Yes,
Like
it's kind of a wild tangle of this
Yeah.
story. It started with a PayPal email that had a link or a phone number,
Mhm.
and he called the phone number. So he was talking to PayPal at first. It wasn't PayPal,
Yeah.
right? But supposedly he was talking to PayPal. And PayPal said, we're going to try to track down the people who sent that scam email. So it's like they acknowledged that it was a scam email, and we're going to try to track down the people who sent it, and we're sending the police right now.
Yeah. No,
But-
the police are never going to get involved at that level. Like,
Yeah.
and I've been on the phone call with members who have reported fraud to these various, they're called P2P services, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App.
Mhm.
And if you report, we had-
P2P is like person to person,
Yes.
something like
and
that.
so we had a person who they talked him into downloading this remote access app onto his computer. Sometimes they call it, oh, we need you to download this customer service app, etc.
Or scan for viruses.
Yeah, scan
like
for
they said they were
viruses.
doing with
And then
George.
they're on your phone as if you are. And they
Mhm.
were able to get themselves into his Cash App account, move some money around. That one he was able to like let us know ahead of time, or not ahead of time, but like with enough time that we called Cash App. And what they do is they say, okay, give me your information. Okay, I can see your account. They can see where the money went to. And then they do their own investigation. And that's where it ends. They're not
Yeah.
calling the police. They're not calling the FBI. They're not doing
Right.
any of that. They're literally doing their own internal investigation to see if there's any recoverable funds,
Yeah.
who is at fault, and what they can do.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, and then continuing on with the thread of the story, it was like, it went from, we tried to catch the people that sent out the scam email to, we're now investigating
Your credit, union.
union. And now you're on the phone with a federal investigator, somebody
Yeah.
who's trying to catch our credit union doing things. And we want you to help us catch them. In
Yeah,
the
we
act.
want you to be a civilian, just inserting yourself into an investigation of sorts. And now we're going to catch the credit union. And that's just,
Yeah.
it's just not how those things happen.
Yeah.
Like, but it sounds official.
Right,
And if you're on the
right.
phone with them long enough, it starts to make sense. When you condense these stories down into like 30 seconds or 5 minutes, you're like,
That
this
sounds
seems
crazy.
absurd.
Yeah. Yeah.
But talking to people, you find out they've been on the phone with them for hours.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
heard as how long as 13 hours they were on the phone. And they're very nice. They're very calm until you start to give a little pushback. And then they start to get threatening. They yell. I mean, if you give them any kind of pushback, that's when it kind of starts.
Yeah.
But you're already so vested in it that
Mhm.
it's hard to pull yourself away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it sounds interesting. You know, George said his wife had been gone, so he was bored. And this probably intrigued him that, oh, you know, somebody's doing something wrong and I'm going to get to help catch
Mhm.
the credit union doing something wrong. So, and they're going to put money in my account. So I think this is the turning point where it felt really legitimate to him
Mhm.
is there's all of a sudden $40,000 in my account. They're serious.
Yeah.
They put $40,000 in my account to help me catch the people doing this. And, you know, and I'm sure he just opened his app and it's, you know, showed an
Mhm.
extra $40,000 deposit. And it all made sense all of a sudden that, yeah, this is happening. And yet what we know happened is they had just transferred the $40,000 from his wife's savings account into
Mhm.
his account.
Yeah, sometimes even with like a very common one with crypto is investment scams. Like, oh, you send us $10,000, we can get you 50% in a
Mhm.
month. And
Mhm.
so you'll see them sending the money and then you'll like $10,000 and then you'll see 4 weeks later they'll get $5,000 and they think,
Yeah.
"Oh,
It's
great,
working.
it's working."
Yeah.
But then that is where they hook them
Mhm.
and then you see thousands and thousands of dollars going out and then nothing's coming back in at this point because they
Right.
know they have them.
Right.
Unfortunately, it works. They wouldn't do it if it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. So then, you know, we're investigating Pacific Crest. And so go pull that $40,000 out
Mm-hmm.
in cash. And, you know, when people pull out a large amount of money or something seems a little off, our tellers are going to ask them what it's for, you know, and,
Yeah,
and this is the
especially-
reason we ask is exactly the situation.
If you have someone who's never done ATM deposits and suddenly they're doing large check deposits and large withdrawals, it's weird. I mean, it could be legitimate. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with doing that. But then it just sparks the question of, hey, you've never taken out $38,000 in cash before.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why is a cashier's check not good enough? Like, you're going to the dealership. Like, we can wire them the money. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
bring cash.
You don't have to pull out this cash. Yeah.
And so having those conversations, but like you said, he knew them and they knew him.
Yep.
And they're,
And-
okay, you're buying a car. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Like, good luck.
Yeah. Right.
But we would never tell someone to lie to the bank or to
Right.
the credit union
Right.
or into your financial institution in order to do XYZ.
Mhm.
Like, that's when they tell you to lie, to kind of hide your intentions, to circumvent whatever procedures they have in place. That's a huge red flag.
Yeah. 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 You want to avoid situations like that. So then, so he took all this cash out and then went to the Bitcoin
Yep.
machine, like we talked about. And sometimes those machines aren't clearly marked what they're for, or maybe they are, but at this point in the whole scenario, you're caught up in it, and you've got a QR code, and you scan it on the machine and start putting your bills in. And I think he did tell me, that the reason that it was $38,720. I asked him later, why was it such a weird amount? And he said, oh, it not all of the hundreds went into the machine. It rejected some of them. So it, would have been $40,000 exactly, but not all of the bills made it into the machine. So yeah. Yeah. So what would you say to George? I know you do talk to members that have been caught up in a fraud scheme at some point. What would you say to George if he was here?
So I just don't want George to be too hard on himself, because obviously it's not a matter of being stupid and then being smart. I mean, they are good at what they do, but it's a matter of being trusting and that there's someone willing to violate that trust. It's a trust relationship, because you're believing what they're saying on the phone. You have no reason not to. You've never experienced something like this before. You've never had a huge financial loss like this. You've never been scammed, maybe. I'm just very suspicious of everybody. So that's me, because of obviously what I do. Yeah. But even I just clicked on a phishing email like 2 weeks ago because it looked very similar to things that I normally do get. So like even me in this professional capacity, anyone could be potentially victimized.
The people that are carrying this out, like you said, are professionals. This is what they do.
Their entire, like how we have a business, or how we have a business, or anyone has a business, there's procedures, there's manuals. That is how these places are run. It's not just one or two guys in a basement with a computer. Yeah. It's like a professional criminal organization that's running these. And usually their entire call centers dedicated that are overseas doing these things. Yeah. And the sad reality is a lot of people who work in these call centers are not doing so willingly. Sure. They've been scammed themselves through job opportunities overseas. Promised a good job. And then they end up being passport or something. They end up getting trafficked, and it's like, you need to make these calls or you're not going to get out. Yeah. And so there's a level of their desperation involved in it. So it's really just a vicious circumstance. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not good. No. And unfortunately, we're seeing it more and more all the time. I think it really took off during COVID. People are more at home. People are very online. Looking for new ways to make money, I guess. Yeah. And I feel like you try to delete the scam emails, you try to unsubscribe. I feel like every time you unsubscribe to one email, 8 pop up. Right. So it's every day I'm deleting hundreds of emails of just nonsense. And so, I mean, it's easy if you're, oh, hey, what is this? That looks interesting. And opening it up. And then you're kind of a little hooked from there. And it's not as hard as people like to think it is. And he really shouldn't be too hard on himself. I mean, it is a significant loss, especially being retired or fixed income. Right. But unfortunately, it's just something we see all the time. Yeah, I agree with that. Every time I've sat down and interviewed somebody, when we condense the audio or tell the story, it seems crazy. It's wild that it would, go from this to this and you lose so much money. And yet every time that I've talked to somebody as well, they talk about how long this took. And some of these scams are, over a long period of time, or they're playing on people's emotions. And so, George should not feel like he was dumb or something. That's not the case here. And to anyone listening, who might not have been involved in something like this, if you do get these phone calls, just hang up the phone. If it's important enough and it's legitimate, they'll call back, or they'll leave a voicemail, or you can call the main number. Them. Yeah. Just if they start going on their diatribe, just hang up. I've had a very similar phone call, and I kind of wanted to hear what their pitch was. And within about 30 seconds, she was like mid-sentence, and I just hung up the phone. I was like, okay, I get the gist of it. I'm just going to hang up. And that's what they don't want you to do, because if they can keep you on the phone, they can just keep feeding you. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's no limits to what they can say or what emotions they might play on. Yeah. Okay. Well, I know we're going to have you back on this podcast at some point, you being the in-house fraud
Fraud mitigation specialist. That's your title. Yeah. So you get to track this stuff down all the time.
Yeah, I do a combination of I investigate the fraud cases that happen. I implement or propose mitigation strategies in-house, which includes like training of staff. If there's any programs or vendors or things that we could be using that could utilize, we can utilize their products. And then also a lot of it is outreach, which I really like doing, is going out to like the senior center, the Rotary clubs, and just talking about fraud. And a lot of people have not heard of it. I've even had the response of, it's happening here in Klamath. Like, yes, every day.
Every day.
Every day it's happening, unfortunately. And so just trying to get ahead of it, because the psychology of it too is a lot of the times people believe the most from the person they've heard it first.
Sure.
So like if you've never, like this person had never been really talked to about how these scams kind of work. And so he's just really kind of believing the scammer that's talking to him. And sometimes when I talk to people who are actively involved in a scam, not him, this was kind of like a one thing, but I have talked to people who are long-term involved in investment scams and who are just, they will not believe
that it's a scam.
Because you have that sunken cost fallacy. You have a lot of different things playing at it but they've heard it from the scammer that, oh, you're going to make money.
Right.
But no matter how many times I tell you why it's fake, how it's fake, well, here's what you can see. You can even call them and see that it's fake. Some people just can't believe that. And it's very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Well, this is why as a credit union, we kind of take this on as part of our responsibility is to put the education out there. And that's,
definitely, getting it out there, spreading the word, as many people know as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining the True Fraud podcast.
Thank you for having me.
True Fraud, real stories, expert advice, brought to you by Pacific Crest Federal Credit Union. If you suspect you are a victim of fraud, we encourage you to reach out to your local law enforcement and your financial institution. Pacific Crest is federally insured by the NCUA.